Before we get started assembling the templates, you're going to need a few tools. You need an X-Acto knife, a pair of scissors, Scotch tape, and a ruler. Starting with the first section of our rail templates, cut along the inside edge where the two sections of the templates will be joined together. Cut the second section of the rail template along the inside edge where the two sections of the templates will be joined together. Align the two sections of the rail template together and secure them with Scotch tape. Cut both the upper and lower rail out, leaving about 1/8 of an inch gap around the outside of the templates. I will explain why it's necessary to do this later on in the video. Using the same technique, cut the first section of the base template. Do this for all three sections of the base template. Align the three sections of the base template and tape them together. Cut the base template out, again leaving an 1/8 inch gap around the outside. Using the same procedure, cut and assemble the bed plate. Using some contact cement, glue the lower rail template to a piece of 1/4 inch hardboard MDF that is cut to 17.5 by 3.5. Glue the upper rail to a piece of MDF hardboard cut to 15.5 by 3.5. Use the same procedure to finish out the remaining templates. On the paper template for the bottom rail, make sure you cut the bottom and top edge while still leaving an 1/8 inch gap from the outside edge. This makes it easier when we go to cut the template to final size on the table saw. Align the bottom edge of the template with a piece of hardboard. Cut the lower rail templates on the bandsaw. With the first cut, leave an 1/8 inch gap on both ends of the rail. We will finish those cuts out on the table saw. Carefully cut around the radiuses of both rails on both sides. Cut the bottom and top edges of the rail as shown here. Using the same procedure, finish cutting the remaining templates. Using a table saw sled makes it much easier and safer to make these smaller cuts. Lightly sand the outside edges of the template with 240 grit sandpaper. Be careful not to oversand the edges. You can use a wooden file on the templates to remove any rough edges left over from the bandsaw. Center punch the marked areas on the lower, upper, and bottom rail. Pre-drill with a 3/32 drill bit the marked areas for the lower, upper, and bottom rail. Using a 1/2 inch countersink bit, countersink the pre-drilled holes for the lower, upper, and bottom rail. Here we are marking the bed plate and base to provide holes to secure the template to the plywood blank. Make sure to mark between the holes on the rails as being demonstrated. This is so the holes on the bed plate and base don't interfere with the holes on the rails. Pre-drill the marked holes with a 3/32 drill bit on the base and bed plate. Now countersink the pre-drilled holes with a 1/2 inch countersink bit for the base and bed plate. Place the lower, upper, and bottom rails on a piece of 3/4 inch plywood that is cut to 19.5 inches by 8 inches. Pre-drill the corners of each of the rails with a 3/32 drill bit. This is in preparation to keep the rest of the holes aligned when we go to pre-drill and secure the template onto the plywood. Secure the corners of each of the templates with a number 8 by 3/4 inch wood screw. Pre-drill the remaining holes and finish fastening the templates to the plywood. Use the same procedure to finish out the base and bed plate. Secure the bed plate template to a piece of 1/4 inch oak plywood cut to 19 3/4 by 8 inches. As you begin securing the screws in place, make sure not to drive the screws in all the way. You want the bottom of the screws sitting flush to the back side of the plywood. Here I am backing the screw out so it's sitting flush to the back of the plywood.